Sandy Patterson is the character that I play. He's sort of your average guy that's got a wife and 2 kids and a good job, and he's really been doing the right thing for his whole life, and then he just kind of arbitrarily gets picked as a victim, as so many of these people that get their identity stolen are. And it's just, Craig did a great job in sort of constructing this character in such a way where he really lends himself well to the kind of guy who can find some comedy by being a victim. So it's a lot of fun to play. It's a part. It's similar to what I've played in the past that I really like. To be truthful, we had no idea what Melissa was going to do with the part, and you never do when you're dealing with actors that get offered parts. You basically see what they're going to do a little bit before you start shooting. You read the script through. But what I knew was clearly that this is somebody who's incredibly talented as an actor, but also her comedic sense, her sensibility, her taste, her comedic taste was just something that I knew whatever the hell it is that I do would get along well with, because I thought what she does is funny, which kind of, just the math of that means that our sense of humor gets along. When we met her, she's as nice as she is talented, and then she ended up playing the character in a much more human, grounded, realistic way than I think we ever imagined the character to be played. On paper, the character's a little bit more outlandish than she chose to play it. From the very start, she plays the character very human and not malicious at all. And so there's a lot more heart in it at an earlier stage in the script than what was intended. There's like a middle of the second act, kind of third act, like, oh, this is sweet. The characters are kind of, that sort of welcomed formulaic element that you really need. But it kind of threads in a little bit earlier because of the way that she chose to play the character, which is just something you just don't see until you're doing it. And so the film really benefits from that, and she's amazing.
Jason Bateman calling and saying, I'd like to talk to you about something. I kind of dorked out a bit, and I met him, and he was delightful, and I don't know, and it was a really funny idea, and I liked that it was a man and a woman. It was originally, written for 2 men, and I thought it was more interesting that, it was a man and a woman, and we kind of were equal in how we would fight, that I was scrappy, and I tried to physically get away with him. We kind of played that up, and I wanted to push that as far as you could go, because I kind of thought, I don't know if I can't think of, at least in a comedy, when you've seen like a man and a woman kind of physically fighting, where it's not slapsticky, it's more like, I'm really trying to kill him in it. So, I don't know, just everything about it kind of fell into place, and I thought it seemed really good and really funny. A physical actress, I don't know if that's a weird way to phrase it, but I mean, I think actually showing it and doing it and struggling with things is so much better. They're such a big part of how I like to work. So I love that all the physical stuff was in it, but I haven't really done it before on this level, or the fight scene was really funny to me, and then we were doing it for 5 days, and you're like, oh, that's intense. Like, you're in a fight for 5 days trying to get this thing right. But I don't know, it was really fun. It's the first time I've really done some stunt driving. It's the first time I've taken 900 falls on this movie, but I kind of love it. It's such a weird thing to see kind of how far you can push yourself. I've hit Jason in the throat 732 times. I think we have very similar senses of humor and senses of kind of timing and rhythm, and I think we get along so well as friends that it just kind of all fell into place. And the worst thing is, I think I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at not breaking. Like, I don't really break a lot ever, and that has all gone away. I don't know what it is about him, but I literally cannot keep myself together. So I blew 50 million takes, and I blame Jason Bateman. I blame him. He kind of walked in and he had like a full idea of how he wanted him to look and his cadence and this, like every kind of Oklahoma bone in Eric Stonestreet's body came out. Like he just totally was Big Chuck. And it was a great moment. I mean, it was so wild, like the dancing's so crazy, and you know, again, Diana's instincts are to just kind of take someone and get what she needs out of them. And then I think she's really thrown for a loop when he is so sincere and says, you know, that he really likes her, and then brings up like his wife's passed away and he hasn't been with anyone. I think it's really fun. It's fun for me to watch and play when kind of an aggressive character is really thrown off their center of balance. And I think that's the first time you really see it in the movie. She's just completely not on her game, and she's kind of always centered. So I think it was a great foil for her. And to me, I love the fact that there's moments that are so funny to me that just like kill me when we were doing it, killed me when I watched it afterwards, and then that there are moments that Seth wasn't afraid and Jason wasn't afraid to like have really, really sweet, real moments. That's my favorite thing in a comedy, when it can kind of do both, because I think you actually hopefully love the characters and feel like they're real people. Yeah. And that's been, to be able to do both in one movie is dreamy.
They could have put a mannequin in my place wearing my sweater, and it would have been probably better than what I was giving her, because I was laughing so hard that I was crying. And I was trying to just hope that my shoulder wasn't going like this while I was laughing. But she is a tour de force. I worship her. I'm almost in love with her, but just not in a sexual way, but I am in love with her. And I am the president of her fan club. I don't know what to say about her. I just worship her. Plus, she's the nicest woman in the world. On top of being a genius. It's ridiculous. I really love Craig Mazin. I think he did an amazing job on the script, and I always think it's a good sign when I laugh out loud when I'm by myself, because it's one thing to laugh when others are around, but when you're just by yourself in a room and you just start, you know, falling off the bed laughing, it's usually a really good sign. And that's how I was reading the script, and I kept, I'm friends with Jason, so I kept emailing him being like, this is so brilliant. But the thing about it is it's also, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of topical right now with the economy the way it is, and families really struggling, and it's kind of poignant at the end. And I like the feeling and the message of the movie.
On Modern Family, I get to play, you know, a great character, and so every time somebody, you know, is kind enough to ask me to do something, I always want it to be different than the character I get to play, and I think people will definitely see a difference between Cam and Big Chuck. Chuck's a real estate agent that happens to be in the foxhole when Melissa and Jason come in to grab a drink as they're getting a room, and they run into me, and I'm looking for a little bit of a good time, and I think I'm seducing Melissa, but what ends up happening is I get suckered into going up to the bedroom.
He and Melissa just hit it off immediately, and that was really important because there's some intimate moments in that sequence. It's a big eccentric character, and in a different actor's hands, again, that could have been material that might have been overplayed. And Eric didn't do that. Eric found all the humor from a very, not to nauseate you with a bunch of actor crap, but you know, he wasn't going for the laughs. He was just that guy, and that character would have been humiliated if he had heard anybody laughing at him. You know, so it was played really real, no winking. So that whole sequence was just incredible, and I had a great seat to watch it all, because my character's kind of stuck, almost literally, watching what those two do to each other.
Well, we were actually doing press for Horrible Bosses, and we were in London, and Jason brought up to me the idea of ID theft. I hadn't heard the title of it, and I I only heard his brief description of what it would be. And it was his great idea to switch it from a male role that Melissa's part was to being something that was tailored for Melissa. When I heard the idea and I heard that she would be the criminal and that he'd be chasing her down, I just knew it was going to be awesome. Jason's been acting for over 30 years professionally, and so he has really honed his craft, and I think something he does that nobody else in his generation can do as well as him is the straight man role, where you are being the audience's surrogate. You're giving a performance, and they can step into your shoes and live through your eyes. And he's amazing at that, and that's something that is often not recognized in comedy. Is to have a really excellent, super strong straight man for the audience to relate to is what enables all the comedy to happen. It's the guy who's got his, at least 1 foot on the ground, usually 2, and that I think it's essential, and Jason does that amazingly well. To me, the iconic sort of scene for the movie is the two of them trapped in that car, because the movie is about them being trapped together, and then to really be trapped in that small of a space, I think sets it up wonderfully. And their chemistry in the car or everywhere was really wonderful. But there were a couple days we shot where they were immediately, they knew each other's rhythms and the chemistry was perfect, but the car, for some reason, they just would crack each other up nonstop. We had a hard time figuring out who is the right person to be a match for Melissa's character in this movie. Melissa's character is totally out of control, totally sort of over the top in a lot of situations, and sort of answers to no one. And we wanted to set up a guy that could be a mark for her in terms of a scam, but also who you rooted for her to be with. So finding someone that had that kind of gravitas and macho and just, I don't know, big presence was what we wanted for the character of Big Chuck. And Eric Stonestreet from Modern Family, I'd done an episode of that show, and I knew what an amazing actor he was. And in playing this role of a slightly chauvinistic macho guy from the South is something you would never expect from the fans who only know him from Modern Family. I don't think will see this coming. We spent almost a month brainstorming what her look might be, and she is a genius and came up with this character that I think was based on people that she knew growing up. She literally grew up on a farm not too far out of Chicago, but in rural Illinois. And this character feels like this Midwestern icon, and she even has her like hero look for the movie is this picnic table shirt and the big crazy hair that looks very done up at probably not the best salon, but she's like, I really got this thing dialed in, and I feel like it's an iconic character that she created, and it started with that wardrobe and that hair and the terrible makeup, and she really created something great, and I supported her through that, and I think it's really something unique.